Welcome back to another glorious Wednesday. I was gonna ask, or else like you didn't dance this time
Why is my name hiding my face?
because you made it too long.
No, I didn't. You typed that in there.
I didn't type that in there for you. Hold on, I can't change it. You can change it though. Go to settings.
You think I'm
You
actually
can
do
change
that
it.
right now?
Yeah, you're not gonna. It's not
No,
gonna kick you off.
I'm not doing that right now. No,
It won't kick you off.
no,
You'll be fine.
no,
You're like I ain't
no.
even gonna mess with it. I ain't even gonna mess with it. I
No.
get it. I understand. Because like sometimes when I'm on, I'm like, you know what? Do I really need to do that right now?
Like I'm trying to find. But so I had to talk like this. I'm asking my questions like this purposely.
There you go. You come around, lower it down.
That is so sad.
All right, y'all. Oh man. So it's been a week. It's been fast, and it's probably because the show is on hump day. So it's like it's just downhill and then uphill, and then you got the show. So here we are, another
Wait,
Wednesday.
hold on.
Huh?
That's what
Huh?
hump day stand. Oh, never mind.
See,
Sorry.
see that right
Oh,
there.
hump day did something else. I never knew. I'm sorry.
I mean, it does mean that. I mean, it's like 3 meanings. You got the,
Okay.
because you had the top of the hill on Wednesday, but then of
Okay.
course there's the other hump day that we see on Instagram.
Depends on what hill you're climbing.
Yeah. The other hump day that we see on Instagram, and then the other hump day for those who plan their coitus.
Oh yeah.
I said coitus. I've been watching too much Big Bang Theory.
Aw.
Aw. Aw. I got a plan for coitus. Aw. But anyway. I don't have that problem.
You started already. The guest ain't even up yet.
Hey, I know, right? We're getting started early, man. We're getting started early.
Oh,
So
my
yeah,
goodness.
so I hope y'all are ready because the guests that we have tonight, they aren't a cosplayer, they don't create comics, but they are into comics. They invest in comics, they buy certain comics particularly, and I'll let them explain it more because I may be wrong saying this. They buy comics particularly to make sure that it goes up in value so they know how to search and look for things like that. So that could be some tips that you're probably going to get tonight. So if you're out there and you got questions, go ahead and pop that question in there. We can make sure we ask him that. And then the other thing is he also has his own podcast. I myself have been on his podcast multiple times. He's a great host. He talks to voice actors, talks to indie comic creators, the ones that aren't douches. Wrestlers, all of that. So, and I know people are like, what? There's any comic creators that are douches? Yes. Yes, they are. I'm not one of them, but they're out there. So
They are.
they're out there.
We have experienced them firsthand. They're out there.
They're out there gatekeeping, claiming
They're out there.
claiming they aren't the gatekeepers.
They can barely spell.
Dang.
Oh, excuse me. Can barely spell.
I gotta go this way.
I literally have to do the shoulder lean. I literally have to do the rockaway.
You know what? I'm gonna talk.
Don't change it.
I'm gonna talk to Jay. I'm gonna talk to Jay and see how I can get like the little pad. And so we're gonna keep your name like that when you go away. I'm gonna do the rock away. or shoulderling, whichever one you choose. You choose. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and invite
Okay.
Andrew from Pop Anime Comics up on stage so we can go ahead and get this party
Yes.
started because y'all know how we do. Like I said, no holds barred. We want the good, bad, and the ugly. And the whole point of this show is to connect creators to their audiences so the audiences can actually see some of the things we go through. So here he is, Andrew. What's going on,
What's up?
Andrew? Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Man.
Welcome.
So yeah, like I said, I've been on his show a lot. He I think yeah, Andrew was like the first one to actually interview me 5 times. 5 times. Try to see if we can go for 5 more times. We'll be at 10. So he was actually the first person to interview me on a podcast where everyone else was like, "Who are you?" But he interviewed me. So and since then I went on 4 more times. Great show. Got to talk about some things, some craziness. But yeah.
So
So here we go. So John, here's the way we start off with these, right? We'll start off with letting you. I already brought you on, Andrew. So we'll start off with you introducing yourself and letting folks know who you are, what it is that you do, where you're from, anything you want to say within that realm that you're comfortable with putting out. So we're gonna go ahead and pop that up
my
there.
name's Andrew. I'm from Connecticut now. I live in Connecticut, and obviously, what I do is I'm in a few different sectors in, I guess, the pop culture sphere. So I have a show that originally was a podcast that was pre-recorded. They called Pop Anime Comics Lounge. That then COVID hit became Conversations in Pop Culture. That's a live show on Facebook. I do anywhere from 130 to 200 interviews a year now, and across multiple sectors, wrestlers, comic people, cosplayers, voice actors, and some other interesting people. I'm entering some models, some other interesting segments. And so that's kind of what I do in pop culture. And then also the other thing of what I'm doing right now is I buy and sell a lot of comics and I invest in comics. And it's not a secret. I've been mentioning it for quite a few months now, and it's actually getting ready. And we're about 50% through recording as of 3 days ago. The class is I'm teaching comic book investing. And so that's a whole class. And I'm not teaching you and telling you what books to buy. I'm actually teaching you the skills because books change. And I could give anybody a top 10 list. And guess what? Tomorrow, it's not going to be useful to you. But if I teach you how to do research, I teach you how to build a budget, I teach you all about grading and exits, that stuff doesn't change all that much. And so I'm here to teach the basics because I believe in financial freedom and financial literacy. And so that's kind of the overall view of what I do. Also, I have a dog. So she might be yipping. If you hear her, she's 13 pounds. I know she might sound like she's 113 pounds. I just want to clarify that. She's adorable, but she sounds a lot bigger than she is.
Is she a corgi or what kind of dog is she? A hot dog or corgi?
She is a King Charles Cavalier Spaniel, and she is a princess because her parents were champions.
Okay. Them spaniels do bark loud because I know at least my dog does because she's corgi and pit. So whenever people come to the house, yeah, there's actually a thing they call them. There's 2 names. They call them pigs, and then I've also heard corgi. But yeah, it's like a corgi in a freaking pit bull mix.
Let's just say she's cheaper than an alarm system.
True.
Crazy fact.
You can see you can see mine just hopping on the bed right about now. He's a straight
it's so cute. It's so cute. Oh my god.
Oh
so
yeah,
cute.
he looks cute. Yeah, he's cute, isn't he? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I got a Malinois, but I got a military cop dog that's in that kennel right now.
Yeah.
Well, I let her patrol the house.
We're grateful.
Asleep.
She had an incident and she had a surgery and we didn't know she was going to make it. She made it, so we're grateful. She's still with us, and she went from being a medium risk within a few hours to being a high risk, and then we thought we were never going to see her again. And so we're grateful that she's back with us, and she's got a few more years left. So very thankful. The family's in a situation they can afford that surgery. So also very, very grateful, and so she should get some passes by barking.
Yeah.
Nice.
But enough about that. That's not going to help anybody.
Yes, it is.
Are we talking about puppies tonight?
Yeah. Mine ate poison twice and got stronger.
Oh damn.
Yeah.
Well, that's a pit bull. Pit bulls are hard headed. They're like, oh, you want me to die? Nah.
Yeah. Psych.
Psych. Gotcha, bitch. Now I'm gonna get your throat.
and your paycheck and your wallet.
Yep, exactly.
Jesus.
I love pits though. My brother, well, he used to breed them. I don't think he does it anymore. But he used to breed them. And we just grew up with pits. So I love them. They're beautiful dogs. They're hard headed, but you give them some love, and they will be your best friend.
And they are not as aggressive as people claim they are. Pit bulls are actually lovers. People make them aggressive.
Yep. Because
they think they're puppies until they die. Like quite literally.
They literally do. They are called forever puppies.
Yeah, they think they're puppies until they die.
Like you get a pit bull and they'll be big as hell. You have this big old. I know you've seen pictures like the big muscular pit bulls, like those big old like 90-pound dogs, 90-pound, 100 pounds of muscle, and they'll still try to climb up in your lap. Want you to pick them up, and all that stuff. And you're just like, if you don't get down, like you're too big for that. But yeah, so but yeah, let's go ahead and get to these questions. I talk about dogs.
Back to the podcast.
Plus I got my little Malinois over there. She's something else. It's funny when I walk around with her. They're like, "Is that a black dude with a cop dog?"
I'm gonna take the fifth. That's all I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna take the fifth.
Like, what the hell's going on over here? Like, wait till I put the tactical vest on him.
I'm trying to like get that beeping button with it every time you say something wrong. Big.
Not supposed to say that on the air.
All right, so like I told you, Andrew, like we don't care over here. So like you can say
now that
like
my career is done. Clearly, this is the finale to my entire podcasting career right here. Thank you.
I can't
Come on
believe
over
Andrew.
to this side; it'll be revived again.
I can't believe Andrew went on that show. What's going on?
Oh man! So we're gonna get to the first question because I do know that you have your podcast. Your podcast, like you're doing stunning numbers. So one of my first questions, start off simple. When did you start podcasting?
I started in my senior year of college in a dorm room. It was my first one. So that must have been 9-10 years ago now. And so I was doing pre-recorded, hit up people, got lucky with the first 4. Did the first Dragon Ball Z expert ever. There is one in the world. Then I got to do somebody called Howard Cruz on a recommendation by Paul Levitz of all people. DC Comics, Paul Levitz. And then I got to do Debbie Derryberry, who's Jimmy Neutron, and Zach Bell. And then I did Bob Fingerman, and so those were the first 4. And and then the show was built out of that.
You say that like it's a small thing.
Like they're your next door neighbors or something.
He's like,
came over.
I just got to interview Jimmy Neutron and Zach Bell, man.
Yeah.
That's a big start out right there. That's a pretty big deal.
So Howard Cruz was a really big deal. Howard Cruz led the gay comics movement in the 70s, like the underground stuff. And so crazy interview, very historical. There's things in that interview that are not public until my interview. And I've gotten a lot of praise from a lot of people who are gay. And they're like, dude, how did you do this? And because there's stuff about his daughter in there and being a gay white man in Alabama, having a daughter, not realizing he's gay. Fascinating interview. Really bad interview, though, on my part, as far as just not being prepared. Great content. Horrible, because I was stiff and didn't know exactly what I was doing, but very fortunate that got to do it. It's a great content interview, and it's great primary source stuff. But and then I built the show out, and then I just kept doing it, and just kept doing it, and just kept doing it, and just asked a lot of people, hit up a lot of people, got a lot more yeses than nos, and I only had one nasty response from a cosplayer, and she's dead to me, so it doesn't really matter. Because she was whatever it was.
We done rubbed off on Andrew. I'm gonna mute you right now. Go ahead.
No. I asked her, and she's like, I don't have any time for this. And I'm like, okay, sorry. And like a simple no or hey, I'm busy.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah,
she
would
tore
have
off on me,
sufficed.
and I'm like, I'm just asking you. And it's like, calm down.
Yeah,
Like, you don't need to go snappy, snappy, snap. If
yeah,
somebody's asking you, you just say, no, thank you, because I'm busy. And I'm like, okay, cool. And
yeah.
then you move on.
Or better
And
yet,
that
can we reschedule?
and that's crazy too, because like because mutant glue, and I think I introduced, I think I told you about mutant glue.
But like I hear that from Mutant Glue, and she says, "Oh my,"
Because she knows, and I hear that from her and SJ and the other cosplayers that are part of the Chimera. I hear from all the time. They say some of these cosplayers out here are just very. What's the word?
But I'll throw the other thing. So I've interviewed Labanak, who now goes by Mangaloo, and she does arguably one of the best Ruby cosplays ever. And then
Okay.
another cosplayer is Danielle Di Nicola. And I interviewed Danielle Di Nicola when she had like 40,000 Instagram followers. She has like 600,000 now. And Danielle Di Nicola has my number. I have her number. And one of the things is that she's always been nice to me. So it's a weird entity. But yeah, I've heard horror stories about cosplay. I got friends who have issues with certain people. And I understand vulnerability. A lot of it, in my opinion, is vulnerability in the cosplay community. I think a lot of people who you think aren't vulnerable are beyond vulnerable. And that's the thing is that, and what's even crazier is that about cosplayers and influencers, because a lot of them are that now, 85% of influencers are actually broke. So you look at
True.
a lot of these top cosplayers, they may or may not have money. They might be worth a good chunk of money, but there's been a lot of studies that have been released that 85% of influencers are broke.
that makes
So
sense.
keep that in mind. Everybody keep that in mind. I mean, I don't work for merch. I work for a paycheck. And my deals and sponsorships are not, I'm not interested in merch. And we could talk about that too, because I just came across something that, and
SJ said
I
facts.
got no problem telling everybody what happened and what company it is. So
Yeah.
yeah, but what was your question? I hope I
But yeah,
answered.
but no, that makes sense though, because I hear that, I see that from the cosplayers that I know. It's like a lot of them still have full-time jobs or have a business on the side also while doing cosplay, or so
Yeah,
I've heard that.
their
Yeah.
moms, their dads,
Mhm.
they work 9 to 5. Some of them
Yeah.
create jobs. I mean, but yeah, that's why I don't really follow too many. I mean, I just found out too. You know who I'm talking about?
Mhm.
The one on Instagram, the lady that I like, Stormy Wellington.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
She just recently like popped up and she had did like a live video and she was saying how she was showing all her jewelry and she was like, y'all didn't even know it. This diamond necklace, this was fake. This ring
Yeah.
was fake. I was
Yeah.
like, this was fake. She said because people listen with their eyes, not with their
Exactly.
ears. And I
So many
was
people
like,
rocking.
So yeah,
So many people
I'll drop
rocking
something.
Cuban zirconia.
yeah,
Like I know, like
I
I've
do.
like when I was in the dating world and stuff, like I would hear from them. They were like, they'll see rappers who are like, oh, I got to talk to him. Like, he's driving this, and like, because where I used to, I live in the South. There's rappers
Yeah,
everywhere, and they'll be
they're everywhere.
yeah.
My brother's one too,
Miami.
but
he's actually good, but they're everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, they would be driving these cars and stuff, and girls like, oh, I gotta get with that. I'm just like,
me as a person who's been in music videos when I lived in Miami and been on that side of the entertainment world, and I tell them like, that shit's rented, right?
Yeah.
It doesn't belong to them. Like it does not belong to.
Yeah.
Like they're like, but they have a like even I'm like even if it's a Cutlass on 22s or 24s, sometimes that is even rented because they have car shops out here who will fix those cars up like that, and then they would get
Yeah.
them, and then they will rent them and drive them around, and it doesn't belong to them.
So
Because a lot of folks don't have
friend.
money.
I have a
You know?
friend who's very, very wealthy,
Mhm.
and he made a lot of money in crypto. He rents out his car, beat up car. It's like 5 years old. He rents out his car because his money is in assets. And this is the whole thing. And this is where we go back to financial freedom. A lot of my money's in the stock market and it's in comic
Yeah.
books and it's in other assets. I got a bunch of bonds. And I mean, it's no secret what I do, where I take my eBay business and I funnel that into the stock market, into good growth dividend stocks. I mean, I just got a dividend today on a company that pays me a monthly distribution. And I have enough shares of it that it produces me a certain amount of stock that then increases it. So if, I'm bringing in 30 new shares every single month, and each share brings me for the next month 7.5 cents, you might say, oh, well, that's only $2, $3. But guess what? It's $3 that month, $3 the next month, $3 the month
It
after that,
adds
and
up.
that, and that. So all of a
Yeah.
sudden, and I'm 29. And this is the whole thing that I think people don't understand, is that I don't make my money on my show. I've had sponsors. I ran a Kickstarter, but that's the whole problem with the creative world, I feel, is that people, when they make money, they don't know how to actually deploy their capital to make them
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
more money.
They don't know
Because,
how to
and
reinvest
I'm
it.
going to drop it. There's a scene in The Big Short where
Mhm.
uh, Steve Carell's character
Mhm.
goes to Miami, and they're talking to strippers. And there's a whole thing where all these strippers have 14 different houses or 14 different mortgages because they're cash rich, asset poor.
Yeah.
And that's what this entire world is in a lot of ways. And we look at comics,
Mm-hmm.
we look at cosplayers, and newsflash, if you got a $30,000 check, you got to put some of that money away, because
Correct.
there's going to be a point where it ends. And this is the whole problem with OnlyFans, and I say this, that all these cute, really attractive women who get into the club for free in Miami, when they're 35, they're not going to be cute, attractive anymore. And they're going to be working in Subway for somebody who's less cute and attractive, who then is going to be driving the Lambo.
Yep, exactly. It's all about reinvesting money. And I know,
Oh
like,
yeah.
it's funny you bring that up, because I've even talked about that in the comic book world, right? Because I think I brought it up on one of your shows, and I know I talked to Scorpio about this. Me and him have
Mm-hmm.
talked about this in length.
Oh yeah.
Because I always was curious. I'm like, how can these individuals? And a lot of people say, oh, well, it's because of their book order. And it's like, okay, I have put out 8 books.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I know how much it costs to get books printed. I know what you can do to get them printed for not a whole bunch of money.
Yeah.
And so, like, I'll see people do a Kickstarter and they'll get $30,000, $40,000. And then all of a sudden they're doing another Kickstarter. And I'm like, I get it. And I know I've talked to you about this too, Andrew. And I was like, I get it. But in the same vein, is like, why not take some of that and reinvest it? Because, like, if I was given, this is just me, and maybe I'm a little more, financially literate. And then, of
Mm-hmm.
course, with my degrees and stuff, and just the way that I look at the world of comics now, I could take 40,000 and do a lot. Like, I could take $40,000 and put out
Mm-hmm.
probably 20 books, and then
See,
take it in and put money into stock and all this other
And
stuff. So when
yeah,
I
and
starts making money, you know,
I'm gonna
Mhm.
challenge you a little bit on that, because I would do
Yeah.
it the other way. What I
Mhm.
would do is that this is my whole problem with comics right now, is
Mhm.
that we got all these people doing all these covers. So let's say it's your first
Yeah.
Kickstarter, you don't have any data, so you're
Yeah.
just shooting out in the wind. Your second and your third one, you have a little data, but you don't have enough to go off of. So I've been in my eBay business for over 10 years. I have data on what my customers want. So I know how to buy something and sell something. Now on my
Right.
show, I'm gonna interview whoever I want. I don't care, because if I cared, people like somebody like Nixon Noel, who is Tegan Knox in WWE, would not be
Mhm.
on my show. And people have been
Mhm.
like, "Oh, I get it now. I understand that you spot talent ahead, and
Yeah.
that you didn't ask my opinion because you understood person A, B, C, and D."
Mhm.
Danielle D. Nicole's a good point. I interviewed her when she had 33,000 Instagram followers. She has 666. She's a lot bigger now than when I
Mhm.
interviewed her, and I was
Yeah.
smart enough to see talent. But in my problem with Kickstarter, getting back to that, is if you're in your 10th Kickstarter, you should have data, and your covers should be targeted specifically towards your data. And
That.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
That.
People then have 10 covers,
Mm-hmm.
cover A, B, and E sell, and the other covers you only print 25 of. And I'm like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you should be hitting home runs. You have data that suggests A, B, C, and D should work, and then you go Z, Y, X, Y. And then what I would do is that I would get it, because also I feel that people say, oh man, I did 9,000 on my last one. It cost me 8. I had a surplus of 1,000. Let me go spend that 1,000 extra dollars, and now I have to raise 10K. But really, your next 3 books should be in the same vein, and then you still have book 1 to sell, and so the next one you should do statistically should be 9,500 or 10,000 if you raise that. And we're just using easy numbers, but then that's the whole problem I have. And then what I would do is I would take a distribution, and then to even go further into this, I would set up it as like an S corp. seriously, I think everybody should be creating a holding company, because what you can do in a holding company more than anything else is that you can actually buy other assets in a holding company. So then you could buy a dividend producing stock in your Kickstarter funder, that then you use your Kickstarter money to do it. That dividend then produces an asset, and you get to the point where now, if you do that 10 Kickstarters in and you set it up that way, and you just bought 10K worth of stock that's producing you, we'll use AT&T, that produces you $1.11. You now have a boatload of money that self-funds, and you're still getting Kickstarter money, and now you have a
Yep.
real asset class, and that's what I don't get.
That's what I'm getting at though, because like a lot of people don't do that. It's like they just keep coming back, starting
The
at
majority,
square one every time.
the majority of your money. I that's why when I first met you, Tara, the first thing I asked was like, okay, when you do the Kickstarters and you get the money, let's say you do get 10K.
Mhm.
Some people were telling me, oh, I don't take none of that. I don't spend none of that money. I just put it all back into my comic. I'm like, you don't take none of that money out and put it in something else. They're like, no, I just put everything back into my comic. I'm like, that's just more stickers. That's more. I'm like,
Yeah, exactly. Because like what I did was
put back into some assets that's going to make me more money. I can grab money from that asset if I need to, and hit my Kickstarter if I need to, without touching my account or my credit cards.
Exactly, because what I ended up doing was like my book was already done, so when I did my Kickstarter, pretty much the only thing I had to pay for was getting the books printed and whatever other extra awards. And then when I had money left over, I would invest in a stock so that I'm building money that way.
I mean, what I did on mine is that I had money from my sponsor that paid for a lot of stuff already. Then I raised some money, and that's why I didn't care with my Kickstarter. I mean, it was stressful nonetheless, and there's a lot of issues.
It's a stressful situation. Not even a lot. Kickstarters are stressful.
People were not nice to me during my entire Kickstarter process. It was brutal, and it's very eye opening. A lot of people were not there, and believe me, there's a list, and I got no problem. And so I'm actually shifting. I'm shifting how I focus, but what I did is that I took some of that money from my Kickstarter because I didn't need all of it. I bought some merch. I built a relationship with another cosplayer, and a little bit of a pricey, expensive relationship, but I think it's going to pay off in dividends in the long run. And then I took some of that money and I had some fun with some of that money. But I also took some of it and put it into the stock market. And so, and then I have some money left for a rainy day. And now most of my bills are covered for another year. So I used basically my Kickstarter, my sponsorship money, paid for the remainder of season 3 and all season 4 of my show. So now I don't need to raise money for another 11 months.
See, and I got yelled at when I mentioned that. Like, y'all should,
you know what you're talking about. Oh,
okay, never mind. Look, it's to the point now when people tell me, when I try to give advice on stuff like that, and people tell me, oh, you know what you're talking about. Oh, that's, I don't want to take a chance like that. The first word come out of my mouth is, okay.
Yep, just leave it there.
And I just leave it alone.
Because what you're saying, Andrew, is true. Like, because I think if people actually did that, they would realize they don't need Kickstarter anymore. Because I know people have asked me, like, well, how because I know we talked about it on your show too, like me stepping away from Kickstarter. So people were like, well, how are you going to do that? You're stepping away. So how are you going to do that? And I'm just looking at them like, well, one, I have the fan base now, thankfully, because of Kickstarter, also because I've been busting my ass on Instagram and meeting people and talking to people and getting to know people and all this other stuff. I'm like, one, I got a newsletter. Two, if I put it on Instagram, hey, we're doing this. Y'all want to come and pre-order? Most people will come and pre-order, so it's all about building that and then trying to put something aside. Even if things don't go right with your business, like let's say something goes wrong with your personal life and you're one of those individuals who are making $50,000-$60,000 on a Kickstarter and you put some of that away, like maybe your business is great, but something happens in your personal life where you need that extra money. Now you have it rather than
it's
balling,
that. It also, what it is that right now there are cycles that are going on in comics and in media in general. So there are things where zombies are hot, right? Then there's romantic comedies are hot. Then we have mecha's really hot, just to drop some stuff. Then we got Cthulhu's the hottest thing right now, right? Then what happens is that let's say that you did A, B, C, and D, but great, and then something doesn't get hot and now it's not selling. If you put money away and now it's creating what is known as it's a productive asset versus a non-productive asset. A productive asset produces something beyond its value. So if you have a farm, just to use the example, it's the value of the land and what is grown on the farm, or what the
Right.
farm is used for. So if you're growing pumpkins, it's the value of the pumpkins and what the land is worth. And so the farm is a productive asset.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a dividend stock or a dividend mutual fund or a dividend S&P fund, all of a sudden you now have something that's producing you. And guess what? Let's say you have a rough 3 months, you have money to live on. I mean, this is not,
Correct.
you can survive until the next thing. And then guess what happens? It might change again. And so this is
Exactly.
the whole problem, is that I think that people aren't preparing. And look at the industry. I mean, we have something called the Heroes Initiative. That's because all of these comic people who are the old timers are broke. And you know what's happening right now? The exact same thing is going to happen again. And you can quote me. I'm 29 right now. This is August 31st, 2022. And I guarantee you, I know so many comic people who are broke who are doing 50, 60,000.
Yeah.
On Kickstarter, and they don't own their house, and they're like 50, and I'm like, what the fuck? What the
Yeah.
fuck? I'm
Exactly.
29. I have money in the bank. I'm not buying a house right now because I'm going back to school, and things are crazy. I'm waiting for the market to cool down a little bit. But guess what? By the time I'm 32, I'm going to be buying a house, and hell, my house might even be paid off for. And then I'm going to have a great time. And then my girlfriend, who's going to be my wife, is going to be like, your house is paid off for? Why didn't I marry you sooner? And it's going to be great. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fantastic. But the point I'm getting at is that that's where I'm at. I hope this answers the question. When did you start podcasting?
Yeah, no, it does. It does.
Look, I'm quite sure you done answered over 5 other questions.
Exactly. You have hit on some other ones, but yeah, it does. I mean, because it just shows how long you've actually been in it, how long you've been doing it,
and then on top of that, the things that you talk about on your own show,
which is
people
wild.
hate me on my show. People hate me this year. It's okay. People hate me because of January.
It's because what I've learned is
the more hate you get, there's two things that I learned. The more hate you get, that means you're doing it right, one. And then the other one is because you're telling people the hard truths that they aren't ready to hear yet.
Yeah.
So, because I know, like, even when I was telling folks about marketing and stuff like that, marketing and branding, a lot of people weren't even ready for that yet. And now people are trying to scuffle and shuffle and run and try to find their brands and stuff like that. And then I see other people who I know who are friends who are starting up their podcasts and doing things like that. If they're still out there, they know who I'm talking about. If y'all still out there in the crowd, like, they have, first thing they did, branded it. First thing, because how people are going to recognize you if they don't know who the hell you are. Like, I even have people who I met at Comic Cons and stuff. They'll come by and be like, oh, I've seen that logo before, because my brand's out there, because I branded it. I made it work. Everything I used for this comic stuff is all the same color scheme. Everything's that. But a lot of people, I don't know. I think what it is a lot of people don't care. One, when it comes to the financial part, and two, when it comes to longevity of their company, which is where branding comes from, the marketing and branding side. It's because a lot of people are just in it for that quick buck, and once they make that quick buck, they're out. So
that's interesting, because I'm taking a very different approach where I understand that I think my real money is in the next 20 years, because I'm building out a library now.
And that's the thing. Long money takes a very long time to grow. Like, if you think about, like, look, everybody looks at Jeff Bezos right now, right? And they're like, oh man, because it almost seems like he appeared overnight. That man was doing this since the early 90s. Like,
when he had hair.
When he had hair, he had an online. I don't know if people remember this or not, but Amazon was an online book place. So, like, you can go there.
When bankrupt, was on the brink of bankruptcy.
Yep. And what pulled them out? Amazon. I'm sorry that I'm telling this, but unfortunately I was in the military when this happened, so I know it happened. They got a certain military contract to ship goods to the military, and when they got that, through the roof. Now, he still wasn't a billionaire then. He was only in the millions. And now he's the richest person on the planet. Like, quite literally been working on that company for almost 30 years. And now he's there. But a lot of people think because they see the finished product, they're like, oh, I can do that tomorrow. And it's like, no, not really. No, like, no. Like, it's gonna take some time to get there. You're gonna have to really work. You're gonna freaking blood, sweat, and tears. You're gonna be crying. You're gonna want to quit. Right. I don't know how many times I wanted to quit. And every time I want to quit, something crazy happens. And then I'm like, okay, that's the reason why I did this. So
it's interesting because also I'm now shifting because I'm also now understanding that certain interviews, and I hate to say this about indie comics, but I'm being also very selective now because I'm trying to create what is known as evergreen content, where when I do a voice actor or I do a particular cosplayer, there's certain people who come back to that. So I just had a bunch of great voice actors on. I just had the voice of Jinbei on. I'm going to be having Danny Chambers. It got rescheduled. She had a medical emergency in her family. Um, but all of a sudden, voice actors get evergreen content and people constantly come back. So I'm now actually shifting on who should come on my show. And I
Mhm.
don't mean to sound like an asshole when I say this, but depending on your indie comic, depend on the topic, depend on when it hits, it doesn't produce views. And no matter how hard I market it, and that's also why, you know, I started asking for money because I'm like, look, I get a lot of requests all throughout my second season. Every week I would get 10 to 20 requests to be on my show. And I have 4 spots. There's no way in hell I could have fit all that. And I tried to get through as many people as I could, and I was happy to get through a lot of people. But I also realized that, you know, I'm trying to create content that people are going to watch
Mhm.
um in 5 years from now, because guess what? That keeps, the brand alive. It keeps a lot of stuff alive. Not to mention that it's very helpful for sponsors and
Mhm.
for influence and all that stuff. But and I'm also now being particular, and also things are becoming more pointed for a good reason.
Yeah.
Oh, man. We already about 30 minutes in, and we just been talking about finances and marketing. See, that's what I love. That's why I love doing this show because, like I said, because when you do your show and you make it to just like how your show is, when you make it where it's like no holds barred, and you just talk about everything and you're ready to talk about everything, the show carries itself.
Yeah.
Like you don't even need a list of questions. Like you have them. I have them just in case. Like they're here. But the show just carries itself. It carries it into its own world. Oh man.
Very.
I don't even know if you answered this or not, but going back to the podcast part of everything that you do, I don't even know if you answered this or not. But at this point, how many shows would you say you've done so far? Because you've been doing this since your senior year in college.
Oh man,
So how many shows would you
so
say you've done so far?
I think I've done 130 that are published on the first one. I did 90 my first year. I think I did like 163,
Mm-hmm.
165 my second year in. I
Mm-hmm.
have 50 that are unpublished still that need to be edited. Um, and then this year I'm probably at around 130, 140. So close to 500, give or take.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, the bulk of that is in the last 3 years, which is insane. I mean, I all throughout, last year I was doing like 6 shows a week, and
Yeah, that's what I
it's
remember.
intense. It's intense. It's intense. Back to
Yeah.
back episodes are intense,
Yeah,
and
they
there's
are.
nothing like it. It's a combat sport, everybody. It is a
Yeah.
combat sport.
This
Yeah.
podcasting thing, like it looks easy, but you're basically, and I'm pretty sure everybody knows this, but you're basically in a sense a reporter. You're just doing it
Mhm.
a la talk show in a sense. Not really a talk show like afternoon syndicated talk show. I'm talking like Larry King.
Oh
What's the
man,
other dude? The other guy who went to satellite radio. We were talking about him.
Mhm.
Howard Stern.
Howard Stern. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that's
So
more on the lines
let me let me
of
let me break down
podcasting.
my show for everybody very, very,
Mhm.
very easily. So when I book a guest, the way it works is that I look at the guest. So I look at their Kickstarter, their Indiegogo, what they got going on. I look at their
Mhm.
Instagram. So I actually sit down and I build a whole question and a whole fact sheet of who they are,
Mhm.
what they're doing. Then a lot of times now I'm looking for images that pertain to it. Then I go and then I got to go build the interview. Might sound crazy, but I got to go find the link. I got to go shorten the link. I got to go put all my stuff in there. I got to go see if I can find a way to structure it. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard. Then I go back through this. Now, me building an interview, it used to take me a week. Now it takes me about 2 to 3 hours, give or take, sometimes 4. But I
That's
do deep
that
dive
experience.
research.
Mhm.
I do
That's that.
deep dive research
Mhm.
into people so that I know who the hell I'm talking to. Because I go on shows and people have no idea who I am. People are like, Who are you? What do you do? I understand that you want to talk about comic book investing." And I'm like, okay, what do you know about the topic?
Mhm.
And, I'll give somebody a brief introduction and overview, but if you don't know anything about money and you're asking me about money, it's a hard conversation. Like I was on somebody's show and like, man, we were just firing off and went for 2 hours because they understood about investing.
Mhm.
And I've been on other people's shows, and while he's not a comic book investor, he's into real estate. He understands the concept because he understands money. But I've been on people's shows with no idea about anything about money beyond the fact that they get a paycheck, and I'm just like, great.
A lot of people think they know. A lot of people think they have financial literacy because they know how to consume, and the two are quite literally two totally different beasts. I can't even really say they're the same side of a. They're the different sides of the same coin. I can't even say that because financial literacy is so far removed from consumerism that it's insane. Like, a lot of people think that they know, but it's like, no, you're a consumer. You don't.
You actually
understand because I know, like, when I started really researching and stuff, like when I really started going for my degrees in business and stuff like that, and I started researching things, like you start finding out about all these like big movie stars and stuff like that. Like Keanu Reeves, he actually shops at freaking Goodwill, and people are like, "What? He's a millionaire." It's like, that's why he does it, because he is a millionaire. That's how the rich stay rich. Consumerism is how the poor stay poor.
You actually
like,
do
everybody
less.
wants to say it's the other things, but it's the richer a person is, the less they buy. If you really think about it,
you actually do less consuming when you have financial literacy. Like me now, that I see so much stuff that I want to purchase, but I put it in a little shopping cart, then I wait and I look at it, I'm like, I really don't need that right now. And I take that money and I'll slide it over to my stash app. And I'll put it like in some stock or something, or either I'm gonna go and slide some money over to my crypto thing right now, because it's like I don't need it right now. I'm trying to get a house of my own. I'm like, do I need that right now? Or better yet, let me go on Amazon and find a cheaper version of it that won't break me out and turn my neck green. So
exactly.
It's interesting. So I mean, look, I buy a lot of comics, but I also have foresight because I'm going to sell those books. So I carry a forward debt. So I'm consuming a lot, but I'm also investing in those things. So it's not an impulse buy. But like there's a really good Zenescope book, and I'm like, it's $30. I don't really have $30. But also I'll buy somebody's Kickstarter book because I'm buying access, because I understand what access is. I just had a very, very prominent interview and I bought access to get it. And it was cheaper for me to buy the Kickstarter and get that access and show support and speak what I preach. Because guess what? It bought me a fuck ton of access. I mean, I just got access to somebody that I normally wouldn't get to that is well worth the $35. And plus I wanted the Kickstarter anyway. But the idea is that that's a whole different ballgame when you're buying access. But again, you don't see me. Maybe 6 years ago, I was buying everything. Now I'm very meticulous on what I'm buying, and it's budgeted, but it also is cash flowed. And that's the other thing too, is that my eBay business is extremely cash flowed right now. Maybe not this month, but last month I was doing well, and then I'm now about to kick it up again in September. But the idea is that I also cash flow from there, where just the basic breakdown is that I have money in here, then I buy a comic book. Then I sell a comic book for more than what I paid for it. Then I divide that into a tree. The cost of the book goes back into the comic book, buys a new book of the same value. Then the profit comes out, goes into the stock market. Stocks have two things: growth, which I don't have any control over, and then it has a dividend that then gets reinvested to buy more shares of the stock. And then meanwhile, what I've done is that in the stock market, once that occurs, that cycle's over because I have no say in it. In the drip and the growth and the drip and the growth. And I just buy good growth, basically dividend producing stocks. But then I start again a triangle. And luckily, I have a picture that explains all of this on my iPad. Much easier, everybody, for everybody to follow. I came prepared today.
Here comes the diagrams.
Hopefully this will work very well. So
that's not quite a triangle there, Andrew.
This is the upside down triangle right here.
It's right at the end, right there.
Oh, okay. I see a cloud.
Money is here. This is your
Oh,
money,
Yeah.
your job,
Money?
right? Whatever,
Mhm.
how you get money. Then you
okay.
buy a comic book, which is C. I'm a
Oh,
very bad drawer. I did go to art school for like a day.
oh,
Very, very challenging day for me. Then
Hey.
you get more money out of the comic. Then that goes into 2, which is cost of the book, which buys the book back or
mhm,
buys the book at equal value, which repeats this.
Mhm.
But then we go down to profit, which then takes over here, which goes to S, and that goes to growth, which basically is what the company does. And then this goes to dividend. Dividend, it gets put into a drip, which is called a dividend reinvestment plan, and that goes to buy more shares. And in most stockbrokers, you can actually buy fractional shares.
yeah,
So now you can buy zero point 0.2, 0.3,
mhm,
0.8,
Mhm.
0.7, 0.75, however you want to, whatever it's going to do. And
Mhm.
then you keep building more and more and more of those shares. And
yeah,
this is how you create an asset. That right here, just to prove a point, I'm going to show right now. This right here is passive income.
Yeah.
That's passive income.
Making
Legitimately, if you
rich.
can master this, this is how you get rich. This is
Yep.
how you
That
legitimately
passive
get rich
income.
over time. This is
mhm,
Yep. Because I got
exactly how you get rich and you become financially free.
yep.
And this is it. Now, I didn't
Those
keep.
dividend stocks are a lot of people sneeze at them like, oh, I don't want to buy dividends. Those are the ones you
please.
want.
Like
I
I got one
grab
stock right
those.
now is like they're set. Well, a couple of them are set to dividend. Every time a dividend gets paid out, it reinvests that money right back in. And just like you said, Andrew,
Yeah,
it'd be like 0.2 cents of a penny or 0.3,
mhm,
but it puts it right back into the stock and just reinvests it.
Look, I'm not saying, and look, by the way, if you're completely moronic at this, I got a solution for everybody. There's this little thing called an S&P 500 fund.
yeah,
If you invest in an S&P 500 fund, $100 every single month between the ages of 25 to 65 over 40 years, it is 1.2 to 1.5 million dollars because it gets reinvested and the growth, and that's what you will end up with. So if you are moronic and you suck at investing, there you go. That
yep,
is the answer. That's not financial advice. That
yep,
has been proven over and over and over again.
Yeah.
yep. S&P 500 or Vanguard S&P 500
Yep.
also.
Yep.
I
Yep.
got both of them.
Yep. Because I
And
know
yeah,
one thing I was told when I was younger is like scared money don't make money.
yeah, very true.
And like at one point I was like, what does that mean? You know, but then as I got older, I was like, oh, so
Have you,
what they're
you put in the
saying is,
savings, put in the savings,
yeah.
take your money, put it in a savings account and just save and just keep adding to it.
Hmm.
Meanwhile, the bank is not saying nothing. They're giving you 1% of your own money back, and
Yeah.
they're just taking your money and just loaning it out and making themselves more money with interest.
Yep, exactly.
But
It's
I
just
will
like
say this.
mhm.
Yeah.
I will say this. One of the best things you need to do before any of this
Mhm.
is you need to create an emergency fund. An
Yeah.
emergency fund is 3 to 6 months of your expenses. God forbid
Mhm.
you lose your job, you're good for 3 months, and you can find something. I'm not saying you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
That's not the goal here. The goal here is to protect you, it's to protect your family, and it's to
Mhm.
give you a landing place because God forbid your business goes bankrupt, right?
Yeah.
Or your employer goes bankrupt. Great. You got something to fall back on and you can breathe for a few months while you figure out your new solution to get back up on your
Yeah.
feet and move forward again. Then you can go do it. But again, this is not investment advice. This
Mhm.
is just common knowledge that it has to be repeated. I talk about this in my class all the time, but and this is when we talk about a budget because I do have a whole lesson plan. Lesson 2 of my class is budgeting. Legitimately,
Mhm.
there's a reason why. Lesson 1 is research. Lesson 2 is budgeting. And
Mhm.
by the way, I'm not saying anything insightful in that, but I feel people need to hear it.
Yeah.
Because guess what? If you master your money and you understand that deployment of capital, you're going to do okay. And so
Yep.
that's my whole point is that you need to have research and you need to understand deployment of capital in anything you do. And this is just how I feel and how I think. And look, people can disagree with me. Feel free to disagree with me. That's your prerogative. I
Mhm.
personally don't care because I'm going to get rich and I'm doing it right now. I'm
Yeah.
becoming wealthier and wealthier each and every month.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a big difference between another thing too that I was told by an individual who is wealthy, like stacked wealthy. They were like, "There's a difference between wealthy and rich."
Mhm.
You know, because wealthy, your money is gonna make your money, whereas in rich, a lot of people you still working for your money. You
Yeah.
know,
Well.
but your wealth, just like you're talking about the dividends and stuff like that, and your money And
I
in
work for my
reality,
money.
paying for no. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with it. Like what they were telling me, they were like, when you're getting to that point where you're trying to get to is that you want to get to wealthy to where your money is making its own money at the one point. You know,
Correct.
yeah.
So no. What I'm getting at, because I
Mhm.
understand the point. What I'm getting at is that I work for my money, so I don't
Yeah.
even look at what my wealth does. I
Yeah.
know what it's doing because it's set up a certain way, but I'm pretending like I'm dirt poor. Because here's what's going to happen. The
Correct.
whole point of what I'm doing is that my dividend stuff, and I don't look at it. I mean, I'm happy. I look at it. Obviously, I know what it's doing, but my money's in the stock market. I check my
Yeah.
stocks like once every other week. I don't look at the stock
Yeah.
market because I know what I have in my account. I mean, I bought Netflix. I haven't looked at Netflix in my Roth IRA because I don't care, because it's a good company and it's going to make me a fortune because everybody's wrong and I know I'm right. So, and I've been here way too many times before. I've been here with
Mhm.
Apple. I've been here with L Brands. I've been here with Texas Roadhouse. I've been here with Inspiry. I mean, I've been here with a boatload of comic books, and I just know I'm right. I don't. It's a gut feeling because I've been doing this forever, and I know I'm right. And when everybody else is like, "Oh man, Netflix is worth $500," I'm like, "Well, I bought it at 190, guys. Shocking, you
Yeah.
know,
Mhm.
because I know everybody's wrong. I just know it, and everybody's
That's
scared. And Warren Buffett said, when everybody runs out of the fire and everybody
You run
starts
into it.
selling, you run into it. And when
Mhm.
everybody's greedy, you get out of it.
Because that's what's going on right now with the stock market. Everybody's so scared.
Yeah.
Everybody's sell. And I'm just looking at my numbers dropping. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna buy this. I'm gonna buy that. I'm gonna buy
Yeah. I'm
this. I'm
steady.
gonna buy
I'm steady buying
that.
and going into my stash. Like, okay, what can I get this week to add to
Exactly.
my
Because
monthly?
Man, I bought.
when it starts raising again,
that it is like you see it with everything. Just like I know I was talking to someone about NFTs, right? And they were like, "So are you going to do NFTs?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I am going to do NFTs." They were like,
but it started off big and nothing's going on. And I'm like, so did Bitcoin.
Yeah. It's
It
gonna
started
have
off
those.
big, it got
I'm
quiet,
not.
and then it came back. And now you need $1 million to buy Bitcoin.
It's gonna have those
One Bitcoin.
those black winters, what they call them, where it's gonna
Yeah.
go through that time where it just goes dull. People have predicted this. They were like,
Look,
NFTs are
I,
gonna go
I,
dull, but
I have a different opinion on NFTs than other people.
What's your opinion
Um,
though? Let me hear it.
I like NFTs for authentication. I
Mhm.
think NFTs have an amazing authentication position. So if you buy a painting, right, and if you get an NFT or several NFTs, they can authenticate it, and then they go with the painting, and I think it can protect it, and it makes it a security feature because now you know it can't be forged. And so if you have an extremely detailed, like almost, I guess, mapped out on, computer scaled level of the painting, and we're talking like a 10, $20 million painting, now you have a security measure and an authenticator for it, so that God forbid there's ever a question, you have a record of it and you have a digital record of it. Now, my problem with a lot of NFTs right now is that I feel like it's the .com bubble where everybody's doing them. Some of this stuff is good, some of it's bad, and here's the problem: everybody has a roadmap, but I haven't seen many projects fulfill their roadmap. And I understand they're in their infancies, but I'm like, you guys realize that you're gonna have a mobile app, you're gonna have this, you're gonna have that. Like, there seems to be a lot of promises, and I feel like 90% of the projects are not even gonna make it past the
Yeah.
first hurdle. And
Yeah,
so it's
that's one of the reasons why I
complicated.
think it went dark though. Because like what you're saying, it does make sense, but I think that's the reason why it went dark, because I think they're trying to figure that stuff out now. And that's pretty much how I work with Bitcoin. Because I remember when Bitcoin first came out, like I was deployed and one of my friends, he had set up a computer to mine for the coins and everything like that. So that's how you had to get your Bitcoin originally. For those who may remember or may not remember, you had to have a computer that had to solve freaking equations and formulas and stuff like that to mine for it. But during that time and all that was going on, it was fear of hacking, it was fear of someone taking over your account and all these different fears. And the government's like, we can't control this, we can't command this. This is money that we can't do anything with, is pretty much what the global financial, banks and everybody else was saying. And then it went dark, and then it exploded, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh yeah, we can manage it now.
Also, though,
and so mhm.
also, though, what's coming with crypto is compliance. So compliance is coming. So
Yep.
the next stage of crypto in the next 10 to 20 years is in the S&P. There's 11 sectors, and crypto will be the 12th. There's no question about it. Whether that takes 10, 20, or 30 years, it's coming. You also have things where I think Circle's getting into it, where they're trying to do compliance. I think you got WonderFi that's trying to do compliance. You got this big issue going on between staking and crypto lending, and Celsius and Voyager have done nobody any favors. And other things are going down. 3 Hours Capital was a disaster.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen is that we're going to get to a point of compliance. So I'm not anti-crypto. I like the cryptocurrencies. I'm just not a huge fan of the NFT side of it, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm not going to tell somebody not to touch NFTs. I like my Ethereum. I like my Bitcoin. I like my Algorand. Solana's nice, but I'm not going to go play with Etchy coin or Dogecoin or, the cats out of the hat coin for lack of a better word. I'm not in the business of playing with real speculative, unproven coins like Pancake Swap or Lifecoin.
I heard about that.
Whatever.
Yeah,
but that's not my thing. So,
but it makes sense though. Like and I get it, like the one thing, and it's funny that you mentioned it because the one thing, and I know we went way away from podcasting, but it's fine. This is actually, we're talking about some good stuff here, which was going to be the second part too, like the investment and stuff like that. So we already jumped to the investment part, y'all.
but it's funny how you mentioned the security thing with NFT and how you can play towards it, because just like how in IT security, eventually started making money based off of stuff. So, and that's one of the ways I was thinking about using it was whenever I do stand them up, whenever I sell a book, it goes with an NFT in a form of being secure. So, and I wasn't going to do it for every book. I was just going to do it for those special books. So like if I do a, like for instance, and for y'all who are here in September, I do plan on relaunching.
We'll use an example if you don't mind. So if you sold a cool like CGC book that had like a limited 50, and then you had an NFT with it, now we're getting into something, and whether it's security or it's added bonus content, because that's another thing with NFTs is that all of a sudden, and I'm just using this one as an example because it's a 350 print run. So now if you're selling 25 limited print runs, one of the things is that you could give added value with an NFT, and then also it creates other things and gives different access and a boatload of other stuff. And then there's a whole bunch of other stuff with NFTs that can be done as well.
Yeah, and that's what I was planning on doing, because I plan on relaunching Kickstarter's Holochrome variant, and I was actually planning to do an NFT with that, so that it works like security, because I'm only doing like 250 books. That's like my plan. I think it was 250. I might actually go less just to make it that much more secure. But that's what I was going to do it with. So whoever bought one would actually get an NFT with it of that cover, but NFT version of it. It's all as well as their certificate of authentication. So it'd be like double security. They have that NFT that's connected to the book, and then the security certificate of authentication. But like I said, it's funny you mentioned that because
it's also tricky. It's tricky because I don't have a ledger right now, and so NFT security, I had a bad experience with an NFT, so I might still be a little bitter, where my wallet got drained and I had an NFT taken from me. It's not the end of the world. It happens. I only lost like $200. Lesson learned.
Where was that NFT at, though? Where'd you buy it through? So I don't have to mess with it.
No. Nima. It wasn't Nima. It was It was Break Run. I think what happened is that I was trying to buy something, or sometimes a wallet just gets hacked and somebody gets your secret code and they're playing a guessing game. And I just think that's what happened. And then I was drained. The NFT was fine. It was just a very, very bad experience, and I wasn't exactly ready. So when I'm more financially stable and I'm ready to jump back into the pond, I'm going to buy a ledger. I buy an NFT. I'm going to move it right into my ledger and protect it. Now I'm going to keep $100 into my wallet. If my wallet gets hacked, who cares? Because my NFT is protected. And so that's the end of that. But I don't need to learn that lesson twice. But that's the whole thing with NFTs too, is that I don't think people understand security with them. So when you buy an NFT, you got to go spend $90 to $100 to really truly protect your NFT. And so it's a whole big problem. And I think people are just not educated on it. I wasn't. And then I'm like, fuck, I just
Yeah.
lost my NFT. And it was a bad day. That was the day that my dog got sick. She's better, everybody, in case you missed the first part of this. It was like, you ever have a day where the dam breaks? That was
Yeah.
the day.
I
So,
feel that.
Yeah.
but it's a lesson learned. I'm moving on. It's not a big deal. But that's the whole thing with NFTs. And that's why I'm not so gun-ho, and I would rather own the physical asset or the straight crypto and keep it in something like a Coinbase or something, because it's just easier to manage, or keep it on Gemini because it is secure there. It's not 100% secure, because if those companies do go bankrupt, you don't own your crypto or it's collateral. But I don't think Coinbase is going down. Gemini is not going down anytime soon. But that's the whole thing, is that's where I'm at as a person, and I'm a little bitter. And I'm still licking wounds. So I am not I'm biased, is for lack
I
of
mean,
a better word.
that's $200. I understand your bitterness.
Yeah.
Because of my wallet got hacked and I lost that, I will feel the same. So I get it. You know, I 100% get that.
It was rough, and then the Celsius position was even worse, and that I had more money in Celsius. So yeah, it's but I'm not anti crypto. I'm putting
You
maybe like
learned the
20
lesson.
bucks in.
Yeah,
I learned
pretty
a
much.
very valuable lesson.
Yeah, it's like
I
that
learned
happened, and then you were like, okay, how can I make this more secure? You
I
know,
learned a $600 lesson that's probably going to save me about 600,000 in the long run.
yeah,
And I got no problem saying, look, sometimes you got to learn hard lessons. Look, I've learned hard lessons with comic books. I've learned hard lessons in a lot of ways. I've learned hard lesson on stock. But again, if my entire loss is $600 to get the Hard Knocks component, then that's what it is. But I don't know what to say. But I'm again not anti-crypto. I understand that NFTs. I personally like NFTs that have application too. So when an NFT has an application, that's useful to me. And so it's also the idea that when an NFT has some aspect of rights to it, that's another component to NFTs right now. So like if I could buy an NFT and then I could put that on my sneakers, and then I could sell 15K worth of sneakers because I have IP, right? So I have an IP, you have an IP, right? So if you buy an NFT and you could take that NFT and combine it with your IP, that also is a game changer for people who have IPs. And so when I do enter the fray back in, I'm looking for NFTs that give me actual some rights as well, because that's an application use. I'm also looking for Seth Green's NFT, but that's a different discussion.
Seth Green's
Did you know this story? Do you actually know this story?
No, I haven't heard about that.
No.
Oh my God. So he has an NFT, and then he was going to have a show based on his NFT character, and then the NFT got stolen. So whoever has that NFT actually owns basically what's done on the show, because because when you bought the NFT was transferred or taken, it's not in his ownership anymore. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. I mean,
that's
but
crazy. So
this is dangerous, right? Think about it, right? So now, if somebody does if I create an NFT, right, and I don't know, I created super elves, right? I'm sure that's been done. So if somebody's listening, they did that, I'm sorry. But and then I say you have the right to that elf. Then you go create a comic on that elf, and then you sold issues 1 through 10, and then I steal that NFT. You can't produce issue 11 legally. You cannot produce issue 11. You can't reprint issues 1 through 10. And if there are sales,
this is a application based NFT, right? Or
so if it's an application based, so I'll give you an example. An application. So an application, let's say it's a gym membership NFT. So if you take it, basically, let's say that I move and I sell you my gym membership NFT. The NFT's application is the membership to the gym. Now, if that gets stolen, I don't have access anymore to that NFT or to the application. So I could give a crazy circumstance where application use would be traded, or restaurant reservations. So you can't make a reservation without without the NFT that grants you that. That's an application use, but that's also a selling use. That's a little bit different than a gym membership. A gym membership NFT is just a different way how to structure a gym membership. Basically, if you sell a gym membership NFT, what you're basically saying is that you're going to pay me $12K, but you're planning to live here for the next 40 years. And as long as you hold the NFT, you get access to this gym. But you take the risk. But what you're hoping for is that it's going to be cheaper if the gym's around for 30 years. But a reservation NFT, you make the reservation, you go to the restaurant, and then when you're done, you put it right back up on the market, and somebody wants to go to that restaurant, it's going to buy that NFT. That NFT is going to be traded, which is actually beneficial, which is the real business of that restaurant. Because hopefully they made the NFT and they get a 5% to 7% commission on every sale.
Well, I hope y'all learned something.
Yeah, it makes you wonder about putting your characters on NFTs.
Exactly,
like,
right?
Bro, I want someone to steal
Because
my
now that I'm hearing that and hear that application
Like,
part too,
but that's assuming you grant rights. That's assuming you grant rights. So if I make an NFT of my elf, but I say you can't do any merchandise with this, then you're not stealing the elf to merchandising it. You're stealing it because you think my elf's worth $300 and you stole it for $1. That's a little bit different. So with an NFT, you don't automatically give up rights. You set your terms with an NFT. So if I don't want you to, I own a cute little elf, so I might not give that up. But if I created super elves, I might basically create a bunch of computer generated elves, and you own the elf. So whoever buys the NFTs owns the elf because it's not my elf. So you can do whatever you want with that elf. I mean, you can't go and. I mean, you can do whatever you want. Technically, you could put it on sneakers, you could put it on shoes, you can make a TV show, you can make a comic book with it, because you own it. I've given you the rights, but I'm not going to put my little cute elf on that because that's mine.
Yeah, makes sense.
So if I made 15 little NFTs of her in different costumes, I say, look, you just own the NFT, you don't own the rights of my character. Or if you want to sell $1,000 worth of merch with my character on it, that's fine. Or if you want a non-commercial use, you could have a non-commercial use with this, but you could limit rights.
So you pretty much put limits on it. Like, you can do this, but you can't go over this many.
Yeah. I mean, you could do whatever you want. You could put any terms in a contract on an NFT.
Yeah.
You could say you can't sell this at all. I mean, you could sell the NFT. You can't prohibit somebody from not selling an NFT, but you can say, look, you don't own my character. So, Ty, give me a character that you have. I can't think of somebody off the top of my head in
Kunoichi, because if she gets stolen, I know Scorpio's gonna hunt him down.
No, I'm gonna go to that person's house. I'm gonna beat that. I'm gonna take the NFT
if
myself.
you put her on an NFT, right? You could say you own the NFT, but you don't own the rights to her. You don't own the rights to her character. But let's say that you created a mobile game. You could say you're getting a special skin, right?
Okay.
And that as long as you own this NFT, you have that skin in your game, right? So now that could be something. Or you could say if you own this NFT, every quarter you're going to get a new special skin in our mobile game, right? So now you're creating an airdrop. So that could be an incentive for somebody to hold on to it and find value. Now, if somebody sells that NFT, whoever they sold to is going to get that airdrop. They're not going to get the rest of the airdrops that came before it, but they're going to get new airdrops.
Yeah, everything after.
Moving forward.
Makes sense.
And the person who sold is not going to get any.
That actually gives you more ideas. Not even gonna lie.
But you don't. But let's say that you wanted to sell some cool stuff in it, and you said, "Look, it's rights, and that's what it is." I was speaking to a friend who has a very cool world, and I said, maybe you want to sell access to the world so that people can create on the NFT and create in your world of Tyler Carpenter's chefs. And I said, look, maybe you can define parameters, and maybe it's a $10,000 NFT, and whatever they create, they own a piece of it, and you own a piece of it. And now I don't know how to navigate that purely, but now you have access to use the world of chefs. And so now that's an NFT application. And so as long as you own the NFT, you have access to using that world. Or you could have something where basically you create an NFT and anything that I create digitally, you get access to in an airdrop once a year. So you never ever. So if you created an NFT, you could go with the NFT library, and it's a permanently updating library and airdrops. But it might be a grant. But now, so if you produce $5 grand worth of comics over the next 20 years, you could do that too. But that's just. But NFTs are completely whatever you want in them.
Yeah.
I mean, I could produce an NFT of just my podcast episodes and gift them to all my interviewees and say, look, you can do whatever the hell you want with it. But I could say, you don't own the interview. You own this interview. You own the NFT of it. And there's only one of this, but you don't own this to put on your show. You
Correct.
only own it for, distribution, or if you want to sell it or you want to keep it.
Yeah.
So I can put it around, but I digress. I don't know what else you got. I've done 500 shows, guys. 500. I just want to answer the question.
See, and this is the thing too. We already have a couple of guests that are going to be coming back for like round 2. Like we already have some because we do like to keep it to an hour, a little bit past. Because I think MG's coming back. I think Jay's going to come back. SJ I think is coming back. Thomas, John, and now you, Andrew, because, jeez. We ain't even really get we jump past podcasting and straight into the investing, but that's dope. Like I said on the show, we let the conversation carry it, and it did, and it took it the direction it needed to go. So we're definitely gonna have to get you back up for a part two to talk more, because I guarantee you there's probably folks out there who have questions, folks who want to know more.
We didn't even get to like half the dirt in the comic world. We didn't get to like 90%.
Yeah, we didn't even get to. We'll talk about it. We can talk about that on the next show because this was actually a good show as far as like
very good financial information. Because this is unfortunately something that they're just now starting to teach in schools, which should have been taught from the beginning. A lot of us wouldn't be.
I said something very controversial, and I might get in trouble for it. I said the 3 most evil things in America were slavery, the war on drugs, and the fact that we don't teach financial literacy in schools.
Yeah, correct.
And I mean, when I said it on a show, the host was a little iffy, and I said, "Look, I don't think people are going to oppose me on those 3 topics. I don't, because I think they're pretty evil. I think they're the top 3. Yeah. I mean,
because if you think about financial illiteracy, that is in a sense kind of like modern day slavery. To include probably the war on drugs, you could probably include that into it too. Because if you don't know what to do with your money, then those who are in power can just keep making money off of you because you really don't know what to do with it,
So in other words, guys, it's not okay to spend almost $2,000 on Beyonce tickets. Invest that money in something else.
Exactly.
And that's another exposing me. I totally agreed before. We were not going to talk about this. It was one time, guys. It was one time.
What? I'm telling you right now, somebody is going to post that whole concert on YouTube.
Yep, and they're going to be like, I was there, and it's just like, But like, it's also like that too, guys. Like, just like I talked to some folks too about like the difference between stock and going to the casino or buying a lottery ticket. Like there's people who are straight up like, if I mention stock to them, I'm not putting money in that, and then they'd be like, I'm gonna go down here and buy this $5 lottery ticket. I'm like, you do realize there's like penny stocks, right? And $1 stocks.
It's called
that you can take that $5 and get stock. And they were like, well, what's the difference with stock and the lottery? I'm like, one, the lottery you're not gonna win. Like, let's just be real. But at least with stock, you put that $5 in there, that money is still there. It's still yours. It's just invested into something, So
$5 with stash to start, and they even give you an additional $5 just for putting your money in there, and they'll even give you $20 or $30 just for referring people, and they sign up. I've had it happen.
Robinhood does the same thing.
I'll give you a bunch. There's Webull. So Webull does that. And when you fund your account with $1, you get 6 fractional shares. Then Public does it, and then they give you something. Robinhood does it. SoFi does it. There's all these companies that do it. And so at this point, there is no excuse where you could take $5, and what you can also do is that you could just put it on automatic. So just automatically does it for $5 every single week. And so, that's what it is, and that's the whole point.
Boogie.
Yes, I agree, Boogie, because that long line don't make no doggone sense. I want to get my gas and go, and these people
Boogie
want to
said,
stand in this long line for some lottery.
Boogie, we're gonna talk about that next week because y'all think you're on the show next week. We're gonna talk about them 2 p.m. gas. But he's right though. Like that's why I pay at the tank. I don't go in no more. I see that line. I'm like, you know
that
what?
long
I'll
line,
just.
and it's all people that are like senior citizens, and I'm like, y'all, look, if you didn't invest earlier,
Yeah, you ain't start saving earlier. It's a little too late now.
yeah,
It's wild. And like the fact that they didn't really teach it in school, and then let's say you didn't have parents who really understood it, then that's kind of holds you back a little bit. Like for me, fortunately, I understand it. I know about it, so I teach my kids.
Like my son, he has that green light thing. Like if you have any kids, anybody out there that's listening that has kids, give them the green light card. Put money on their card, because with green light card, you can actually teach them how to invest. You can teach them how to save, all that stuff. Like you can actually,
which is crazy because you can invest in stock as a kid with the green light card. I think they have some type of something set up through that bank for kids where they can invest in stock. So you can quite literally have your own child paying for their college at the age of freaking 11 already saving up for school.
Also to add to that, one thing that I've learned is teaching your kids not be so stuck on a 9 to 5. Every time they read a book, reward them, pay them for reading that book on financial. Not every time that they do a chore, because it's like you're putting them in that mechanical robotic mindset of,
So what you're saying is like, so what you're saying, like whenever they show a progressive thought,
correct,
teaching themselves reading books, gaining knowledge rather than doing a chore, the reward for that. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Also, though, and look, I don't have kids yet, but kid Kevin O'Leary very much talks about this. So Kevin O'Leary's on Shark Tank. There's a lot of stuff, and one of the things that his stepfather explained to him is that Kevin O'Leary wanted to be a photographer. His dad said, "I understand you like photography. What are you going to do for a living?" And what his father was trying to explain to him, and his stepfather saying, "Look, it's okay to enjoy photography. It's okay to have that as a hobby, but you also have to understand the difference between what is a actual workable job. So being a photographer and making a living off of a photographer is not easy, and you need to know what you're doing, versus saying you could be a teacher and you could love to take photos during your summer, or you could be having that as a side hustle." And I think that's the other thing too, is that there's nothing wrong with having a 9 to 5 job and then being what I'm doing, which is I'm a weekend warrior. I mean, I'm gonna have a 9 to 5 job and I'm having a $30,000 eBay business and now in sales. So I don't want to do my eBay business full time, and I like the way it's set up, but I find that it gives me enough creativity. And I think that's the other thing too, is that you can have a 9 to 5 job and be a weekend warrior. And that's something that I think a lot of people also feel like, I have to be 9 to 5, 100%, or I have to be, not 9 to 5. And you could do both. And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that, that's all I'm going to say, is that it's okay to be an employee. Just make yourself a rich one.
Yeah. like don't use the company. That's why I use the company how they use you. They're making money off of you. Make money off of them.
If your company gives you a 401k that is above 10%, the rule is max the motherfucker out for however long you're there. Because if you don't, there's a taste in the back of your mouth, and it's not a fun taste. It's called the taste of regret. Because if you're at a company where they're going to give you a 10% match and you don't max that motherfucker out, you're a fucking moron.
Yeah. But my company,
and you deserve to be poor. You deserve to be poor, and that's the end of the discussion. You deserve to be poor if you don't max it out. You deserve it. You deserve it. And I'm going to point at you and tell you that to your face if you see me at a convention. My company has 10% max. Did I do it? You deserve to be poor. And I will do it publicly, loudly, and brashfully.
Yeah, my company did that for the 401k, and then they had 1-for-1 stock match. So like if they gave us stocks, like if we were staff, so I got stocks given to me. Like a lot of stocks given to me. They based it off how long I was there. And then if I bought stocks, it would match. So
mine match 20%.
Yeah.
So I get
your 401k or your stock?
401k.
Your 401k?
Yeah.
You lucky.
Damn.
That's a
And
gem.
the best part about it, I was able to withdraw funds out of there without being taxed, and I used that
Mhm.
money to put away, and I did invest and pay off some stuff. So
Yeah.
Man, I need to find a better job because I'm right now in between jobs and
I love it, but I'm working that, and I'm also doing eBay and Macari. So I'm trying to. We're gonna talk a few minutes after Andrew if you have the
of
time.
course
I
we
need
are.
to I need
That's
to
how all
increase
podcasts
my
work.
eBay stuff. I have
Yeah,
to.
for real. Because I want to yeah, because right now for me, like I just needed that break away from the corporate world a little bit,
Yeah.
but now I'm about to get back into it. I'm looking at different things now. Now I'm looking at smaller businesses that need someone in marketing and branding rather than going back into corporations, because that's just I guess work knowledge and work literacy. Because after a while, you get tired of getting beat up by corporations, so you're like, you know what? Let me find me a small business,
Yeah,
Right.
see,
or kind of small business to work for.
Correct.
I'm going to become a rich
Right.
employee soon,
Yeah.
in which I'm going back to school to get a
Mhm.
certification, and I'm going to become a rich employee making anywhere from 80 to 120. And so I understand that I'm probably not the best brander. I am not the best marketer. What I am good at is investing. I'm good at talking about comic books. I'm good at finding books that are undervalued, selling them, and doing it. And guess what? As an entrepreneur, as an investor, I only need to be right a few times, and I only need to be right in a few sectors. And guess what?
Yeah.
I'm going to be fine because I'm going to make all my money in 3 or 4 sectors. And guess what? I'm not a good marketer. So why bother when I'm doing great on eBay and I know how to
Mhm.
find a comic book for $5 and sell it for 50. So that's how I view it, is that,
Mhm.
and again, my whole point is that I'm going to be making really good money in the next 7 months, after 7 months after I get certain certifications, and I'm going to do all right because I know how to turn X into X times 3. But again, I'm not worrying too much about it, but
Correct.
I got to just survive the next 6 months.
Oh yeah,
You'll do fine. You'll do fine.
you'll be good.
You'll do fine.
Yeah, as I have nights where I'm crying in my sleep, oh my God, I have no idea how I'm going to freaking afford ramen
Hey.
this week.
Hey, I'm like this. As a personal saying, which I kind of stopped telling myself. So I've been recently telling myself this, and if it's too easy, it's not worth it. That's what I used to tell myself a lot, and I stopped telling myself that, because you're gonna, if you're loving what you're doing, if you're working hard, if you're busting your ass, like even if you look at athletes, I guarantee you they go home and cry. I guarantee you they're sore. And what was I thinking about? Iced up and everything, and they're 22 years old with ice on their knees and neck
Yeah.
and back.
Not
But then
LeBron
they're
James.
here
He's
with-
watching Teen Titans Go, guys, right before
Yeah,
his
probably.
championship game.
No,
He's
but-
eating like
but he-
Captain Crunch.
Yeah, but he also freaking does that what is it called? It's like the thing that you stand up in. It's like it looks like a tanning booth, but it's ice. It's just
Yeah.
they just put
Like
the
ice
cryo
bag.
chamber.
Cryogenics?
Yeah, that's what he does. He does cryogenics. So he doesn't ice himself, but he does do cryogenics. They say he pays like what 10 million, like over $1 million a year on his body or something like that. And I'm just like,
Well, that
But,
Captain
like I
Crunch is
said-
not going to eat itself.
Yeah.
yeah, but like I
I'm
said, though,
sorry.
like,
I'm sorry. I was at a con, right? And I'm
Mhm.
in my hotel room. It's 11 o'clock at night. I'm turning on like Sports Center, ESPN, and I hear LeBron James talking about how he's going to prepare for like the next championship NBA game. He's like, watching some Teen Titans Go, eating some Captain Crunch. I'm like, really?
He's relaxing before the show. He's getting
I
them
just want
laughs
to
in,
like, grab
so he
a
steps
beer
out
with the
there.
guy.
Nope.
All I want to do is just talk to LeBron James about Teen Titans Go. Like seriously, like that'd be like
No.
the end episode of my career.
Yeah.
I'm like this. Whenever I probably play my best games, even in high school, was games that I relaxed myself before. Like if I went out and everybody, pumped themselves up. If I went out like that, I didn't do well. Like I would mess up, But like I will sit down and watch Waterboy. Like I was,
Oh yeah.
that's what I would watch for the game. Like I watch Waterboy, and then I go out there all relaxed,
You can't
and
just
then I'll play
think
like
of
my
water.
best game. So
You
it makes sense,
You can't just think the water.
Matter
Instead of just
Matter of fact, I'll watch the Waterboy tonight when I get off of here. I haven't seen the Waterboy in a while.
I'm in the middle of Fast Five. Like seriously, I'm in the middle of Fast Five, and it's awesome. It's on
Yep.
Peacock, and I'm just sitting back. I'm gonna go grab a drumstick after this, and I'm just gonna enjoy myself, like the ice cream drumstick, not like a chicken drumstick, but that's good too.
A chicken drumstick was that's fine too. That's passable. You want to sit down with a chicken drumstick while you watch Fast Five? Go for it.
I'm gonna eat my ice cream drumstick. It's gonna be fantastic.
See, when you watch a Waterboy, you got to get a gator on a stick. That's the only way. That's the only way you can watch the Waterboy. You got to have a baby gator on a stick. That's the only way.
No. Or a big old piece of python.
Yeah, you live in Florida. You know what I'm talking about, Scorpio.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I don't go near it. I don't eat no damn gator. The hell I look like eating that shit for?
Hey, gator's good, man. Gator's good.
I look like eating a gator.
Gator's good, man.
You don't know what that gator consumes. You don't know what that gator consumed.
Technically, you don't know what any animal consumes, if we're being honest.
But we still
that's another topic for another show. What do animals eat that we're eating?
I sure enough did.
Yeah, right.
I just slaughtered some Popeye's chicken. I ain't gonna lie.
Yep, see? You don't know what them chickens be eating? Steroids. That's what that chicken ate.
That's why my tears get big.
Steroids chicken.
I'm sure your audience hates me now. I'm sure that everybody's gonna see this is gonna kill me. I'm sure that but I'm just gonna be very polite about this. Honestly, after January and what happened to me, I don't really care because this is what I see. This is what I think, and if I upset people, so be it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, anybody can disagree with me, and that's cool. And Waterboy is a great movie.
Not the Chimera Kingdom. Like I'm telling you, the Chimera Kingdom is a whole nother breed. Like everybody's straight up to the point. Where it's a totally different breed. It ain't like all these other groups out here. Like
Buggy,
totally different breed. So
you're
fine.
Buggy,
if they're out there listening, probably taking down notes. The Chimera Kingdom is a totally different breed. Go ahead,
Buggy, if you get that church's chicken and get a pepper, you'll be all right.
The church's chicken, man, they don't even got a church's chicken here.
That's sad.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Oh, that's pitiful.
Oh yeah, because you're up north. Yeah, so you really.
I'm in the north. I'm in New England, man.
Yeah.
Like,
so you have Bojangles.
We have what?
You have Bojangles? Because up north has Bojangles.
I don't know if we have that. I've never seen that. I mean, we have Popeyes up here.
Yeah, you got Popeyes and KFC. See, in North Carolina, we got Bojangles, Churches, Popeyes, Zaxby's.
Yeah, we got Zaxby's.
Back home. Everything, but over here is just Popeyes, KFC, and Raising Cane's. That's the only 3 chicken places here.
Yeah,
at least here in Colorado. Excuse me.
Down here in Florida, we have a wing spot. A wing place is just about almost every corner. You're gonna wing. Florida is good for wings. Now we have King Wings. We got. Wings.
Don't let nobody from ATL hear you say that.
Child, I'm not thinking about no ATL. Like I said, Florida is good for wings.
They're gonna be in the comments.
Come on in the comments.
You ain't been in ATL? I don't know the slang anymore. It's changed since the last.
I promise you what's gonna happen. I'm a Beyonce y'all comments. I don't even see you.
We've been through this. It was one time I spent $3,000 on Beyonce tickets. I thought we established this at the beginning of the show. We were not going to bring it up.
Beyonce, I love you, baby, but I will not be spending that much on tickets. Now, if you invite me,
there's only one person I'm paying tickets on like that. That's Riri. If she invites me to the back.
Oh, Rihanna, yes, I would go for and Nikki.
I'll pay $2,000. No,
Nikki. Yes, Nikki. Yes, Nikki.
I would say Cardi B, but
thank you.
I only go for Cartier's. That's a good joke. That's a good joke. Because why settle for a B when you can get an A?
That was a dead joke. But I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying though. Oh man. But it has only Riri. Riri is the only one. And they'll probably get in trouble.
Oh, I think they're bad.
I'll definitely get in trouble.
Nikki, Riri, and Erykah Badu. Missy Elliott. I gotta have Missy on there.
Yeah, Missy. I don't know if I'll pay $2,000, but I would definitely go to a Missy concert.
Timberland,
Erykah Badu. I'm not going anywhere within 10 feet of Miss Erica. Now within 500 yards of Miss Erica Badu.
Why?
Oh,
Because I'm not trying to get those vibes and turn into Andre 3000 and everybody
Oh,
else.
she mesmerized her nigga.
I heard it just assumes from her. They say every dude that walks by her walks by with like a they just
she
straight up
has-
artisan
say
when they
she
walk by
has
after
some
that.
She has some type of vibe that she attracts men like that, and she says she all three of her the father of her kids. She says she was in love with all three of them, but it just didn't. I don't
Didn't
know what
pan
Erica
out.
Badu does to those men, but I was like, nah.
Plus, she made a song about me, about not me, but used my name and got me.
Yes.
I had to live through high school because of that. So I'm kind of pissed about that too. And then her child's father decided to make a song about my last name, even though Outkast is like my favorite.
Sorry,
Now
Miss
it's like,
Jackson.
is that really both of y'all? Both of y'all gonna do this to me? Yeah, both of y'all. All right.
Sorry, Miss Jackson.
yeah. I don't have these problems. I'm so thankful. I got enough.
Yeah.
I'm
Yep, that
already filled
that
up with
Baduism is no
The
joke.
Baduism, that's what she calls it, the
Mhm.
Baduism. I love me some Erica Badu. I do.
Oh, she made great music. I can't be in the vicinity because I heard that her Baduism is very magnetic.
She will turn you out. Yeah, you should have you drinking wheatgrass and growing greens in your backyard in the tub. Yes, she will.
Oh my gosh.
Eating on kale. You will no longer want meat
You're like,
because of her. Yeah.
There are
SJ
so
says
many jokes I can make.
she is deeply embodied in her feminine energy. I
Yes,
agree.
yes.
And she expels all sorts of freaking aura
Yes, she does.
that when mixed with male aura, it just does things to the guy.
Yeah, see,
See?
Yep.
I'm a very basic man. I really am. I'm very basic. I just want Ariana Grande. That's all I really want. Then I'll order a
Ariana Grande.
vente for both of us, and it'll be fun.
That'd have been.
What? She's got an Eevee tattoo. I mean, come on. Any girl who's got an Eevee tattoo on her, oh, it's just fucking fantastic. I love Pokemon. It'll be cute. Go wake up and I'll see it. It'll be nice. Come home from a bad day. Eevee's on her like arm. Oh, it'd be great. She could sing to you when you're having a bad day. She can move you
See,
side to side.
see with me, I need some aggression, so I have Nikki just rap to me.
All right.
She was talking all kinds of stuff and then have her spit because she's good at that girl is good at business also. She done got so many like big endorsements already. Like, damn girl, do you have to work at all? You're retired and getting all these big ass endorsements. Jesus. But yeah, I would pay money for those. I would.
Yeah. Oh, man. I don't even have 2 Gs. Last time I dropped
No.
actually, I dropped a lot more than 2 Gs like 3 years ago. That's not the point.
Yeah.
But I bought
dropping
stocks, so
Yeah.
it's good.
That's all I'm about to say. If I had 2 Gs, I'm either dropping it in the stocks or dropping it on the book.
Yeah.
I'm being can't do tickets, but
Yeah, let me see where we at. We at 1 minute. We're at a minute. We're at an
Jeez.
hour and a half. So we're gonna go ahead.
This is what happens when you invite me on. This is what happens.
Yeah.
That's how my show
Yeah.
runs. Like, we just go
Yeah.
forever.
exactly. Like there was one time I was on your show. And I think we were up there for almost 3 hours, if not over.
Lord.
Like, yeah. So, but yeah, we're gonna go ahead and end it here. We're gonna
Yeah.
bring Andrew on for a part 2 in the future.
Yes.
I'm gonna send him the link
And
so
a
he can set
part
up his
3.
time.
And a part 3.
And a part 3 and a part 4. I gotta get him matched up to how many times I went on his show. That's how many times he has to come over here.
Mm-hmm. All right.
It's just, hey, because I respect it, so, but yeah, we're going to go ahead and end it right here. And, we hope that y'all learned something. Like, this was a very awesome show on investing, which was going to be the second part of the show, but it jumped to the first, and I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it at all.
At all.
So, y'all hear something of what this creator does. He does podcasts, he invests in comics, he invests in stocks, other things. So I hope that within this hour and 33 minutes at this point that you all have, that we were able to bridge that gap between creators and the audience, because that's what we do.
A lot of good, a lot of bad. We had some ugly. Next time Andrew is on, we're gonna have a lot more ugly. We're gonna really dive into some of the
Oh, we're just
intricacies
gonna
and
have like an hour of
craziness
it. Just an
Yeah.
hour. Just an hour.
of the comic stuff. So,
Most definitely.
all right, folks. Thank you for coming to the bridge. Thank you for crossing the bridge with us. And we're gonna go ahead and see you next Wednesday. Take it easy, everyone.